Big night, folks. It is a big night indeed. We got a lot of news and things to go over from earlier today. Welcome back to the fans. All year long. Please hit that subscribe button. Smash the like. Share with a friend. Thank you very much. And the New Jersey Devils, kids, on an 8-game heater, looking to make it 9 tonight in Denver, Colorado, playing the Avalanche for the second game of a home-and-home. So many plot lines in this one. We have some lineup changes. Before I get into all the news that came out earlier today, and obviously the Avalanche game that will be played in a couple hours, I would be remiss if I did not congratulate our boy Jack, who was named the NHL's third star of the week. Third star of the week, Jack Hughes. Hughes, 5 goals, 1 assist, 6 points in 4 games played. Match Celebrini and Cooley for league-leading goals as the Devils, 8-1. A beautiful 8-1 with 16 points. Moved to the top of the NHL standings by stretching their winning streak to 8 games. 8 games. Dating to October 11th. He registered his third career hat trick. Third career hat trick and a 5-2 triumph over the Toronto Maple Leafs October 21st. Hughes, who did not record a point in the 4-1 win versus the Minnesota Wild October 22nd, then collected the primary assist on the decisive goal in a 3-1 victory against the San Jose Sharks October 24th, before closing the week with a pair of goals, including his 9th career overtime winner in a 4-3 decision versus the Colorado Avalanche October 26th. The 24-year-old Hughes, the number 1 overall pick from the 2019 NHL draft, is tied for first place in the NHL with 8 goals through 9 games played this season, and you love to see it. So obviously, our boy Jack, we came back to the Prudential Center. He got a little active. Many of you were, complaining he wasn't producing right away, and some things take time. And so congratulations to Jack, who's absolutely flying right now. And then we look at the league just to double check. And we're still in first in the league, guys. The New Jersey Devils, through 9 games played, are an astonishing 8-1. No dirty points in this one. 8 regulation wins, 16 points. Or no, I'm sorry. We have one. We have one dirty one in there. The Avalanche, just from the other day. But no overtime losses or shootout losses. 16 points and a beautiful 889 points percentage. And guys, what a team. This team is just, it's insane. 889 points percentage is insane. But then we get to, all the news from today. Before we get to this game, a lot of news and things that came out. And this probably won't come as a shocker to many. Devils tweet out earlier today, we've placed forward Cody Glass, lower body injury on injured reserve, and activated forward Juho Lammikko off injured reserve. And that's the first little tidbit of news from the day. Glass is going to miss some time. We are going to miss him terribly on that third line. We'll get to that momentarily as we look at the lineup. But another update, not so great here as well. Kind of what we feared, many of us at least. Update on Brett Pesce is that he's expected to miss at least a month. Oof. New Jersey Devils head coach Sheldon Keefe said post-game on Sunday that it's an upper body injury, and we all know Brett Pesce, the consummate pro, the savvy veteran on the blue line for this Devils club, injured his hand, I believe, blocking a Brent Burns shot, it seemed, in the first period. And he's going to be out for a month, and that really sucks. Unfortunate news. I think a lot of people were expecting this. Hopefully Pesce gets better. This team is much better with Pesce in the lineup, obviously, than without. And it's next man up, which we will be getting to momentarily here. And here's all the sauce from Amanda Stein. Courtesy of Amanda Stein from Morning Skate this morning. 2 New Jersey Devils season debuts tonight based on Morning Skate here in Denver. Casey is in for Pesce, as is Lammikko. Hallinan and Chalowski look to be the odd men out. Jacob Markstrom is manning the starter's net, looking like he's back from his lower body injury from October 13th. And we look at the handwriting, the most infamous handwriting in New Jersey Devils history. And we see the top line, nothing to see there. Nothing has changed. The top dogs have been getting it done. Palat with Jack and Brad are on the top line. And then on the second line, we see an old familiar line that has been kind of disbanded for a couple games, but they are back together. A second line featuring Timo Meier, Nico Hischier, Dawson Mercer. Listen, guys, I know a lot of you are probably going to be upset, and we're going to talk about all this momentarily. Let me just get through this, and then I'm going to get to the chat here. A lot of people are probably going to be opinionated one way or another on this topic. And maybe some of you upset that Grits is no longer on that second line. And obviously it looked great. I mean, Grits looked great there. He fit in, and I've talked about this before. I certainly believe he is worthy of a top 6 spot. But I really did like that Timo, Nico, Mercer line. And they're back together. Mercer last year said he's more comfortable playing wing. I think he was doing a little bit better on that line as a wing versus the 3C. And he looked pretty decent at 3C as well. But ideally, the Devils want to utilize him as a winger and only used him as a center out of desperation, really. Necessity kind of dictated it. They didn't have many options. Put Mercer to 3C, but now with Lammikko coming in, they put Lammikko on that line. So now Lammikko is essentially filling in on the third line with Gritsuk and Brown in place of the injured Cody Glass. Obviously, I believe this is a downgrade, but you never know. Hopefully, Lammikko surprises us all. He played some preseason a little bit before he got injured. He's been kind of the forgotten about guy over the past few weeks, and now he's back in the third line center role, filling in for the injured Glass. Mercer goes back up to that second line with Timo and Nico. I do like it. I'm very curious to see what Lammikko brings on that third line with Glass. Grits and Brown were cooking all season long. Obviously, we know we've talked about it after every single game almost. I feel like that bottom 6 really saw a beautiful bump from last season to this season with the addition of Connor Brown and Gritsuk. I mean, let's see if Lammikko could kind of hold down the fort in Glass's spot, and now he's on the IR, and it sucks. We cannot catch a break, obviously. The injury bug has just decimated this team for years, and the past few years, and it's crazy that every game it seems like someone else is getting injured, but next man up, and injuries are part of this thing. And so we will see Lammikko on that third line, and then a fourth line of Paul Cotter, Glendening, Stefan Nason, Hallinan, the extra skater there. So Hallinan out once again. And then the defensive pairs. A lot of people were wondering what was going to happen here. And I have talked about for a long time how 2 younger guys scare me, and I would include obviously Luke, Nemitz, and Casey all as young guys that are fairly inexperienced in the league in terms of, you're talking about games played for a defenseman. Like, yeah, they've played some games, but they're not seasoned veterans. And I have expressed my concern about having that many kids on the blue line at once. And this even stems back to the summer when so many people are going, oh, trade Dougie and, Nemitz and Luke will pick up the slack and blah, blah, blah. I've said it from months ago, and I will continue to say it. You want seasoned vets on your blue line. You need them. You need some of that youth infusion too, but too many kids all at once can be painful. We saw it in that 23-24 season after Severson and Graves left in free agency. Nemitz and Luke played big minutes, and, on some nights they looked phenomenal, and on some nights it looked like, ooh, these are the growing pains of grooming young defensemen at the NHL level, and we went through it. And so I will always want some veteran blue liners in the D-corps, without a doubt. And so when we see the pairs, a lot of people are thinking, oh, who's going to play with who? Will the replacement, and in this case, it was Casey, as I predicted. A lot of us thought that was going to be the case. Was he just going to plug in Pesce's spot and play with Luke? And I thought that could have been potentially scary. And obviously the coaches have the same kind of mindset. A young guy with a veteran, and you kind of cover your behind. And so I think that is the best way to go about it. So when we see the D pairs, we have Lukehughes and Dougie Hamilton, which is going to be interesting from an offensive standpoint. I'm very curious to see what type of chances they generate as a pair. I think it could be very interesting. The two of them on the blue line together could be very, very interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing that. And then a second pairing of Siegenthaler and Nemitz, and a third pairing of Dylan and Casey. I absolutely love these pairings, again, just because I like to go veteran and a young guy. 2 young guys together, especially against a team with such skill like the Avs. We saw it last game. There was a couple scary moments. There was one where I think it was off a turnover. We were pinned in our own end. Luke was out there, not to blame him for it, but he happened to be on the ice, and they were just dominating. It would look like a power play at even strength. And 2 young guys together, it just gives me a little anxiety, and I do like these pairings that they came up with here with a young guy and a vet. And then regarding changes on D with Pesce out, this is from Amanda Stein again. New Jersey Devils head coach Keefe wanted to keep that left-right balance. I talked about that. That's why I said I think Casey will get the call over Cholowski. Even though Keefe loves vets, Casey being right D versus Cholowski being left, I thought that would definitely give Casey the bump for sure, just to not make anyone play on their offside. And seems like that's, the logic the coaching staff's using here. more on the makeup. We did feel the need to shuffle some things around to make sure there is a sound veteran with each of our young guys who are in. Boom. There you have it. Veteran with a young guy. You want to kind of insulate them, and you put two of them out there together. It could be disastrous. But there's the look. Palat, Hughes, Bratt, been getting it done. Timo, Nico, Mercer reunited. Third line, Grits, Lammikko, Brown. Fourth line, Cotter, Glendening, Nason, Hughes, and Hamilton. Siegenthaler, Nemitz, Dylan Casey. And obviously the return of Jacob Markstrom to the net. I think a lot of people are somewhat nervous about this. And I'm not going to say I'm nervous, but I hope to see Marky come in and dominate. I do believe in Marky. You guys know I'm a Marky guy. I wanted him long before we actually had him. When the rumors first started surfacing, I was all in on getting Marky. We got Marky. We've seen stretches of brilliance from him as a New Jersey Devil. We've seen a couple of the injuries, and obviously a lot of people are concerned. And obviously that becomes heightened, I guess, with the stellar play of Jake Allen. I mean, what can we say about Jake Allen, my friends? Jake Allen has been arguably in the early season MVP of this team conversation. I mean, there's a lot of guys, but Allen would be right there. You would really be doing a disservice to Jake Allen and yourself, really, if you did not realize how good this guy has been for this Devils club since Marky went out. Since Jacob Markstrom has been out, Jake Allen has stepped in and been a monster, an absolute monster for this team. I'm just trying to pull up his and so obviously with Allen playing that well, it's going to lead to people being like, whoa, and getting nervous about any other goaltender playing. And I get it. Like, listen, Allen has been playing lights out, and a lot of people kind of want to see him back in there, and I totally get it. But the good thing is he's still on the team, and if we see any signs of whatever you want to call it, struggling or anything nagging from the injury, we can go right back to the well and throw Allen back in there. And so he's still here, guys. But we look at Allen's stats on the season, and this is insane. You can't talk about this guy enough. Stemming back to signing, and I'm going to bring this up every time too, signing that super team-friendly deal, $1.8 million times 5. Everyone thought this man was gone, including myself. I was, thanking Jake Allen for his service and his time here because teams are going to throw a ton of money at him, and he re-signed the New Jersey Devils, 1.8 times 5. And we see his stats on the young season. 6 games played, 5 wins, a 1.93 goals against average, and a 923 save percentage. Jake Allen, come on down. You are amongst team MVP candidates on the young season. I mean, and he should be 6-0. Because Marky gave up that late goal in the Columbus game, it actually took the win away from Allen and awarded it to Marky. Jake Allen, though, looking at these numbers, these are high-level numbers for a man to be doing this at 35. And again, I was never concerned about his age. Jake Allen is a win-now goalie, as is Jacob Markstrom. This team is truly ready to win now. The window is wide open, folks, and you are seeing, as I've said a million times already, the culmination of all the things that have been kind of brewing in the background and all the disappointing seasons for some of these young guys, the epic playoff just wars and ultimate losses. And here we are. Jake Allen, stellar numbers on the season, but it will be Jacob Markstrom back in action for the Devils tonight for the first time since being injured in that Columbus game late in the game a couple weeks ago. And on the other side, a familiar face, and this is scary, and this is courtesy of one of the Avalanche broadcasters. Devils up against former familiar face Scott Wedgwood, and in his career, Wedgwood is 4-0-0 against the Devils with a 1.02 goals against, a 965 save percentage, and 2 of his 8 career shutouts. These numbers are staggering scary. Staggering scary. Wedgwood is undefeated against the Devils, 4-0-0, 965 save percentage, which is completely insane, and 2 of his 8 career shutouts. 25% of this man's career shutouts have come against the Devils, and I think this might, I meant to dig further, and my apologies for not, but I think this might span 3 teams. This might include starts he made as a Dallas Star, a Nashville Predator, and an Avalanche. I believe this spans 3 teams, which makes the stat that much crazier because it's not one of these things where you're like, oh, it's only 4 games. he's played on a team that's given us trouble. No, I believe this spans 3 different teams. If someone could look that up, I'd appreciate it. I don't know how easy that would be. But I believe that includes games played as a Dallas Star, a Nashville Predator, and a Colorado Avalanche. And that is just ownership right there. Scott Wedgwood is our daddy. 4-0-0, 1.02, 965, 2 of his 8 career shutouts. They're going to have to solve Wedgwood. Going to have to solve Wedgwood in a big way. So we have Wedgwood versus Marky, a nice goaltending matchup, Devils versus Avalanche. And this is going to be a big one, kids. This is going to be a big one. We got the second line reunited with Mercer back up there. Lammikko on the third line. And we're going to see Will Gritz and Connor Brown continue their masterful work in the bottom 6, which has been a huge, huge part of the turnaround for this New Jersey Devils club. That third line really has helped this team in so many ways. But now we're going to get to some of your comments. But we're going for 9, kids. I'm fired up. What a time to be a Devils fan. And it's beautiful stuff. Ryan the Man says, in Markstrom we trust. Absolutely. Traveling Devil Markstrom is a seasoned vet. How you doing, Traveling? Mark says 8-2 after tonight, possibly. Maybe 9-4 after the swing. Still not sold. Still not sold on this team. Oh, Mark. Oh, Mark. There's support groups for people like yourself. You're still not sold? I mean, come on, man. I get it. I get it. The lingering stench of last season and the season before. I get it all. The PTSD, yeah, we were great till the holiday break. Then it all fell apart. But I will say for the 9,000th time, this year's team is not last year's team. It certainly looks and feels different. And I guess I'm going to have to be understanding of those of you, including Mark, who need to see a little bit more before you're fired up. But I will not let you rain on my sunshine right now because the sun is shining brightly on most of us. And I'm going to enjoy every minute of this streak and this team. I do believe they are for real. They are legit. And I do think they are a real contender. This team is just, it's very different. It's very different. Selected Boy and Cody Glass is said to return in a month. We went over that. He goes 8-1 to 9-4. I guess he's talking about the trip. I guess he thinks we're losing tonight. Oh, wait, is that what he said? 9-4. Sorry. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's pretty miserable, huh? He's picking us to go 1-3 on the trip. Yeah, I wasn't paying attention to the second half of that. And that's pretty pessimistic. Stick Figs, forget a 1.0%, not even a 0.9, and you think this team is he's talking about the points percentage. Yeah, some of the people are that negative, Stick Figs. We won't even mention them by name. The Four Directions says, hey, he's got a cold, so I may catch the game tonight after all. Well, sometimes you got to look at the glass half full. If you have a cold and that's somehow going to end up with you watching the game, then maybe the cold is not the worst thing you've ever had. Selected Boy, damn, so Pesce would only be back by December. Yeah, it's certainly what it seems like. They're saying a month, so we will see Pesce sometime after the Thanksgiving holiday. Matthias says, I really like our team, but the Brett and Cody injury may hurt us. Yeah, obviously, but now it's time for people to step up. Seamus Casey coming into the lineup tonight. We all know what Seamus Casey could do. We've seen him at different points over the last couple of years, and he seems pretty good. Now, people have their concerns. Fine. Let's not doom. Let's not say the sky is falling. This team is 8-1, and they've been able to withstand all the injuries already thus far, and so it's just next man up. The injuries are going to be constant. It is what it is with this club. Casey in there. Let's see what these new D pairs, what they look like. And Cody Glass is, I would say, a bigger, as much as it might sound crazy, just because our lack of center depth, the Cody Glass injury could potentially be more harmful than the Pesce one. I guess we're just going to have to see to really judge. Obviously, I'm hoping that neither one is a glaring loss for however long they're out. But the center depth is not nearly as good as the defensive depth. And let's see what Lammikko can do. Hopefully he could keep that line churning because Gritz and Brown have been absolutely on fire to start the season and would hate to see any sort of loss of momentum there. We really need those guys to keep it moving. Alexander the Greg Ace, I'll see you on the PPG. Let's go Devils. Oh, post. They got it. The Four Directions has surprised the not-so-smart people haven't blamed the medical staff yet. Others, there's your fair share of those. But it's like, what is a medical staff going to do when Brett Pesce is just eating pucks all day and night, every day of his life? I mean, you know, he got hurt on a block shot. Like, the medical staff isn't preventing that. And so there are a small percentage of people that do look to point the finger and blame somebody, and quite often seem to be targeting the medical staff or, you know, some sort of training personnel. and blaming them for these injuries, which I think is ridiculous. And I've talked about that forever. But yeah, it's clearly nothing to do with them. LJ says, let's go Devils. Tooth says, who else is coming to the game tonight at the SAC? I'm jealous of anyone who's attending. Let us know in the chat if you are. Keeping up with the Devils, what does the medical staff have to do with the player getting injured, though? All they could do is diagnose and treat. There's no explaining logic to these people, my friend. Just let them, live in their own kind of reality. Select the Boy says these injuries are killing us. Yeah, well, on paper they are, right? But so far you can't say they're killing us because we're 8-1. We've withstood all of them. The latest chapter now tonight with Marky back in there. Again, big question mark on Marky. What are we going to get out of him tonight? And I'm hoping to see a masterful performance by Marky in net and see that guy that we saw early last season that was dominant. Matthias, I smell a Casey Point tonight. That'd be very cool. Stick Figs, the medical staff. My eyes have to stare at the RWJ Barnabas patch. And as a result, our guys are always getting hurt. Where's the sponsor? What's going on? Hi to man. Let's go Devils. Keeping up the Devils. Devils are a good blend of vets and young guys. That's why I like Palat and Jack and Jesper's line. Yeah, I mean, listen, for the people that are still kind of talking smack on Palat, like, we get it. He's overpaid and whatever. But in the end, he has a value to the team, and he is a part of that Jack and Bratter line. He does do things that help free them up to keep putting up points. And you heard Jack talk about it after the Toronto game. He talked about how one of the goals does not happen if Palat's not, in the goalie's face providing the screen. And so I understand some people's disappointment. A lot of people thought for sure he would be traded out in the offseason. He's a useful member of that line. You guys just got to let it go. Antonio, these lines, just got a glimpse of last year's while looking at this. And wow, after the way everyone's been playing the new players, we finally have 4 dangerous lines. Love it. Yeah. Yeah, you love it. You love to see it. Balanced scoring from top to bottom. 4 lines, and you need it. Cheers. Tonight's pregame brought to you by, or whatever you want to call this. It's not technically a pregame. This is kind of a news update, and I guess sort of a pregame. Spindrift sparkling water. Real squeezed fruit. My buddy just put me onto these. They're pretty delicious, I have to say. Very refreshing. I like this one. Very good. Try Spindrift. Justin says Markstrom is back. John Phillips, lifelong Devils fan from Toronto since 1994. Very nice. Did you grow up in Toronto? And if so, how did you end up a Devils fan from Toronto? I'm very curious. 4 directions, Marky coming in against the game team. This is a true test tonight. Yeah. No kind of easing your way back into it. Fed to the Wolves, essentially. Avalanche, a very good team on the road in Colorado. Coming off the injury. Let's see what Marky has. Snow Devil says hopefully Marky brings his A game. Absolutely. Keeping up with the Devils, I don't like the decision. They put Marky in a real tough spot now and is hot. Let him keep playing. I personally would have probably played Allen tonight and played Marky against San Jose. But, the coaches kind of have a feel for this, and I'm sure they have their reasons. And so I'm not going to question it. And hopefully Marky plays great. And everyone's like, what a great call. What a great call. Hopefully this team somehow sweeps the trip and everyone just is like, we're not going to say anything anymore. John Phillips, Jake should start this game. 4 directions, totally agree. Keeping, we should have ran with the hot hand, especially for tonight. Evan says Dawes did well. Yeah. Shout out to Dawes. He played phenomenally against the Wild. And if it wasn't for that third period goal, he would have had a shutout. And it's a great luxury to have 3 NHL caliber goalies. I've said this for a while. I have believed in Dawes the entire time. Obviously, small sample size. But going back to last season, he looked pretty good while he played for the Devils. And in the one game he played this year, he looked great. And so it's nice to know that in the event Allen or Marky go down, the Devils have a reliable third goaltender that they could call in and give them solid play. And Dawes did just that. He really did. I was scared that someone was going to claim him off waivers a few weeks back, but luckily he made it through, and here we are with 3 solid NHL goalies. Antonio honestly wasn't worried, but wow, Allen over-delivered those saves in the Avs game were unreal. Yeah, he's been making some big key saves in all the games thus far and has really kept the Devils in it on nights where, there's a couple of those games the Devils could have potentially lost without a big save or two at various points of the game. Cannot, emphasize enough how big Jake Allen has been thus far this season. JJ Doug, Marky can play like crap for the whole first half of the season as long as he gets hot right before playoffs. See, that'd be nice. Sam, how good is Jake Allen doing right now as St. Louis Blues fans? I miss him so much. Yeah, well, I just pulled up his numbers, but just a quick flash it again. I would say Jake Allen's doing very well. He's 5-0 on the season with a 193 goals against and a 923 save percentage. And he kind of got screwed out of a win. He should be 6-0, but it is what it is. But safe to say, Jake Allen is thriving in New Jersey. A lot of people wanted Jake Allen back in there tonight. All right, I'm trying to. Yep, Dawes is back in Utica. Jared, what's going on? Frozen Frenzy tonight. Great for hockey hangouts with some buds. Pumped up for our Devils later. Let's keep this thing rolling 9 in a row. Let's go Devils. Yeah, Frozen Frenzy. That's what every single team in action. I think the games are starting like 15 minutes apart. Everyone was kind of making fun of the league, I guess, for their lack of promotion on this. I mean, it is what it is, guys. I do think obviously I love the NHL, love hockey, but I do think they're, and obviously I'm not alone in this. This is a common sentiment by millions of people, that their marketing and a lot of things are just kind of behind the times, and they need to kind of adapt and move into the modern era and figure out ways to do more creative marketing and things, because they always do talk about growing the game and this and that. And it's like certain things just seem so counterproductive to growing the game, but hopefully they figure it out and they start doing some more marketing stuff. Yeah, I totally forgot about the Frozen Frenzy thing until earlier today, but there hasn't been a real push for it, which is interesting because it is a very cool thing that they do. They should try to get the word out a little bit. John njdevils45, what's up, Ace? Let's go Devils, baby. Bring the boom tonight in Colorado, 9 in a row. Can you guys imagine? Oh, man. I really hope we're coming back to a post-game live tonight, riding a 9-game heater. Snow Devil said Jaker is the top in the league in saves above expected. I did hear that somewhere, too. I don't regularly look at those things, but obviously lots of people, are into the analytics and have talked about that for a while. Jake Allen just having a great season thus far. Jay Snow, it's weird if you look at Marky's save numbers. Marky is great versus high danger, but not good against medium and low danger shots. Yeah, it is interesting, right? He makes those crazy glove saves flying across the crease, but then he'll let in a not so great shot from the point or something. It does happen. But yeah, Marky is there to make some of those crazy, wild highlight reel saves. Last year in the Kraken game alone, he had 3 of them. It is an interesting mystery, Jay Snow, that you point out, though. Timothy, Timo might be the most overrated player in the Devils. I have to disagree with you, Timothy. I am a huge Timo guy. I'm not sure exactly what type of season, I guess, statistically you were looking for from Timo. But if we pull up the stats so far on the season, Jackhughes with the 12 points through 9 games, Brader with 11, Nico with 9, and there's Timo with 8. Nearly a point per game. 3 goals and 5 assists. I mean, he's almost a point per game. I don't know exactly. I feel like, in the twilight zone, that I'm constantly having the same conversation over and over with people that say stuff like this. But it's like, what exactly were you looking for from Timo Meier? He's nearly a point per game. He's smashing people. He's creating chances. I mean, there's nothing not to like from my perspective about Timo Meier. One of my absolute favorite players, our only true bull in the top 6. And I just can't for the life of me comprehend why some people have this animus towards Timo, but I have to disagree adamantly there. Justin says Marky needs to play well. Yeah, hopefully Marky stands on his head. I think he's gonna. Husky Unchained, Allen gave us a gift with that contract. He certainly did. All right, I'm trying to speed up here, guys. Hokage, a lot of well wishes for Marky, hoping Marky has a great game, going to need him against Wedgwood. Travelin says, Wedgwood stats just mean it's time for him to get smoked. I wish that was the case, but for me, it's just ownership. He just completely owns us, and those stats are crazy. I mean, that might be some of the best stats I've ever seen of any goalie against any one team over a 4-game span. I mean, that's wild. Completely wild. Jason says, I don't know why Fitz has to rush for an extension. Well, who knows if he really is, right? I mean, they said they're talking about it, but, they were talking with Lukehughes about an extension for a while. It doesn't mean that Fitz is going to give him the contract tomorrow. I think, obviously, they want to see what he looks like coming back from yet another injury and kind of weigh their options. But if there is a chance to lock him up at a number and term that they feel comfortable with, to not have to worry about it for a while would be a nice thing to have, to know you don't have to really worry about goaltending, at least for a couple of years, that you have 2 solid guys with the third in the wings. Then you have, another guy in Yegorov that could be here soon. But I don't think it's going to get, he says, let Marky play the year out. I don't think it's going to get announced like tomorrow. Somebody needs to run Wedgie. Keeping up with the Devs, Wedgwood is playing a different 25-26 New Jersey Devils. This is the best Devils team he's ever played. Absolutely. I would say the team right now, the way they're playing right now, to me, is the best version, or I guess the best level of play we've seen from a Devils team. Easily, obviously, since the 22-23 season, but I feel more confident in this group than that one. That team it just was a little bit more of a run and gun team versus this team is more defensively responsible. And I think, that is a more sustainable type of play, and especially into the playoffs. And so for me, this team overall, it's probably how far back am I going to say? This is the most confident I've been in a Devils team, I guess, since the 2012 Devils at some point during the playoffs. The 2012 Devils were looking pretty damn good during that playoff run that ultimately led to a loss in the Stanley Cup Finals to the Kings. This is probably the best I felt about any Devils team and the most confident I felt in any Devils team since, at some point of that playoff run for that 2012 season. I really do. And so I agree. I think this is the best version of the Devils Wedgwood is ever going to go up against, and we're going to see what happens. Obviously, special teams are going to be a big part of this one as well. Can the Devils shut down the Avs power play? Is our power play going to strike when given the opportunity? Four directions history will not repeat itself tonight. We could roll forward lines now. Oh, wow. Yeah, Mark. Okay, so one of those wins is from his time in Arizona. I totally forgot about that. Wow. Matthias, it's a crazy story from Alan. From not wanting to get traded to the Devils, we heard that story during the 23-24 season, to getting traded to signing a team-friendly deal. Love Alan. Yeah, what a 360, right? From not wanting to come here to wanting to stay here and taking less money to do it. Quite the 360 indeed. Oh, boy, Art. With Markstrom in net, it's a guaranteed loss. Come on. Frank says, need at least 1 point tonight. At worst, split the home and home. Yeah. Listen, I hope the streak goes on for a while, obviously. I want this team to win. But if they must lose, a loser point obviously is much better than not getting one. Ryan tells Art that he's wrong. Jason, no, I don't know why we're saying why we're playing Lammikko at 3C. He hasn't played a game all year. Oh, yeah. So on that point, I just think that the coaching staff feels that, number one, he's going to fit better with Grits and Connor Brown versus Glendening. And Glendening really, he was on a PTO. So it was a little bit of a reach for him to be the 4C. And here he is. I do think that overall, Lammikko is going to be the better option for 3C. But this all just comes down to, ideally, you would want Lammikko to be your 4C. That was what the Devils, I believe, intended for him to be when they signed him. Glass was still healthy. They had just extended him, brought him back from last season. And so I think the plan fully going into camp was for Cody Glass to be the 3C and for Lammikko to be the 4C. Then Lammikko got hurt, and then Glass stayed at 3C, and a lot of us wanted to see another 3C brought in and Glass put to 4C, but that wasn't the plan. It was Glass and Lammikko. Lammikko gets hurt, and then we saw Glendening signed off of the PTO to fill that 4C spot, and here we are. I do think, given the options we have, this is the correct way to go about it, and hopefully that third line doesn't skip a beat. We're gonna find out, but Cody Glass was doing pretty well with Grits and Connor Brown, and we cannot see that line drop off. They got to keep it moving. And speaking of Connor Brown, for those of you in the New Jersey area, the fine folks at Sports Minded Unlimited, the greatest place for New Jersey Devils signings, is actually hosting a Connor Brown signing. It was just released today. The Connor Brown signing is Sunday, November 9th. I will drop that link in the chat for those of you that might be interested. But Sports Minded Unlimited, Connor Brown will be there November 9th. Highly recommend checking out the store. Great store, great operation, great people. I will drop the link in the chat if you want to meet Connor Brown, get an autograph, take a picture with him, talk to him for a couple seconds. Really cool spot. They've been doing Devil signings for years. They're the best in the game. I just dropped the link in the chat for that, so check that out. But we'll see. Hopefully Lammikko is up for the challenge and plays really well. We need him to keep this thing moving. So also the trolls awoke in mom's basement. Oh, boy. Nick, I'm starting to hate the spitting chicklets, boys. They, on the Devils nonstop, it will glaze Utah, Montreal, saying they are a problem. I mean, you have to understand that a lot of that is driven by the fact that Pasha is a Devils fan. And so they enjoy giving Pasha a hard time. So unfortunately for Devils fans, a lot of times it will probably come off as though they don't give the Devils the credit they deserve, or they may talk a little smack. And it's really just because they're busting Pasha's balls is really what it comes down to. So the fact that he is a Devils fan and very vocal about it and, kind of goes at them, they kind of give it back to him. Mark, sorry, Ace, hot start, but we'll see January through March. We got to bank wins and take advantage of these faltering teams. No, I agree. But in the end, I am going to enjoy every moment of this as it's happening. And right now we are an 8-game heater looking to make it 9 against the guy that's owned us in Scott Wedgwood. And hopefully they find a way to do it. We got some new faces in the lineup. The return of Marky, Seamus Casey. We're going to see what he's got. And it's exciting stuff. Hopefully we could get an early lead and just kind of pounce on them. Tooth says, can't wait to see this team in Denver tonight. Let's go Devils. Marky's ready. Michael, I think Dawes is comparable to Wedgwood. Wedgwood is a better goalie today, but I think they'll end up being similar overall. Well, the way it's played out for Wedgwood, I mean, that would be pretty solid for Dawes, I would say. Antonio, yes. Unfortunately, we still have doomers. Jay Snow says, this is so early, I don't see the Penguins staying this hot. Oh, we're going to find out. Sid wants to be back in the playoffs. And we're going to see. Does Sid ride out his whole career there? I think he does. Does Malkin stay with him? Timothy, I guess longtime Devils fan here. Do we think this team's legit? Because I'm having my doubts. I mean, doubt away, Timothy, but this team is legit, my friend. And it will be proven in time. Keeping up with the Devils, I swear this team could three-peat and their people wouldn't be sold. Say Marky is washed and complain about Palat, Timo, Luke salaries. Keeping up with the Devils, I'm glad that you see it for what it is. Some people are impossible to please and will never be happy. And I hope those people find inner peace and happiness, because if you're complaining about anything right now, I mean, this is just a beautiful time to be a Devils fan. We have a chance to win every single night. They're looking good doing it. And what more do you want? Snow Devil Antonio, imagine how bad they'll be when we lose a game. Oh, I'm already dreading it. We could go on a 20-game heater. Once they lose one game, obviously the people will come out of the woodwork and say nonsense. Evan says, sky's not falling, but tonight will be the hardest. Oh, absolutely. Marky coming back. The new guys swapping in. Casey making a season debut. Lammikko. But yeah, Avalanche in Denver is not an easy test, and hopefully we pass with flying colors and hand them another loss. It'd be phenomenal. Stick Figs, not that I don't believe in Marky, but to ease him back into it, I would have started him against San Jose. I would have as well. People are dogging on Markstrom when he's barely played the season. Yeah, but that's how, these people are negative people. Negative people. I personally would have done the same. I would have wrote Allen because he's hot against Colorado and played Marky against San Jose. But the coaching staff get paid the big bucks to do this. I'll trust them and hope that we get 2 wins in both of those games. KMM, we are going to have so much LTIR money, the NHL will owe the Devils money. Well, we're going to see. It seems like there's someone always on it. Jay Snow, this starts amazing. Couldn't ask for more, but it's insanely early. Got to keep it level. Oh, I'm level. And I always keep saying, it's early and they have to be able to do this all season long and do it in the playoffs. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to enjoy it and go nuts while it's happening. Husky says even Keith mentioned we could use another center. Yeah, I know. I saw he said something about the center depth, and it is what it is. It's the one position that we are not really deep at is center, obviously. Defense, we're loaded. Even goaltending, we have some pieces. Wings, we have a good amount of. But when it comes to centers, we are a little bit short. And as a result, right now, you're seeing, a lineup where we essentially have 2 4Cs playing. I would say Glendening and Lammikko are basically 4Cs, and one of them's forced to play 3 with Glass out. 3 Cs a piece. A lot of people have been kind of pounding the table for since the summer, and I get it. It would be nice to have somebody else and not have to rely on these guys the way we are, but there's nothing we could do. This is the roster we have. Next man up. Jay Snow, we have no center depth. The drafting at that position has been horrible. Snow Devil, question, will Casey be on the power play? That's where he has the real potential to shine. I can't see him being on it. Maybe they give him a look on a second unit at some point, but it does seem like on most nights, and someone correct me if I'm wrong or if you remember, but it seems like going into the game, Keefe has talked about, they study the opposing penalty kill and they pick a power play 1 unit based on the other team's penalty kill. So each game, it could be different, kind of tailored to the opponent. As a result, we haven't seen Timo on the first unit as much as many of us would like, but it seems like they kind of stick with those units for the whole game and don't change it much throughout the game. And so I have to think the first unit will be Dougie or Luke, and the second unit would be the other one. If you're talking about a guy like Casey trying to get power play time when we have both Luke and Dougie, who would be power play 1 guys, either one of them would be power play 1 guys on many teams, it's kind of tough. Obviously, I think he will shine on the power play and would love to see him get a crack, but I don't know if we will. It's an interesting thing to keep an eye on. Stick Figs, if anything, the medical staff should be getting a raise with all the overtime they must be putting with this injury-prone team. Yeah. David, sorry if you talked about this already, but does it seem a bit odd that Lammikko replaced Mercer at 3C? I'd rather have Dog there and Gritsuk in the top 6. Your thoughts? I mean, here the reality is, if you do that, if we left him there, what are your lines then? Because you're then talking about Mercer at 3C, okay, and then who is the other winger with Brown? So you go with what? Mercer, Brown, and who? I'm already going to say that's a downgraded third line from when Grits was there. In the end, I think it's essentially to balance the scoring as much as possible, because if we become a 2-line team again, that's when the problems happen. We saw it last year when the bottom 6 did not produce. And I think Keefe realizes a big part of the bottom 6 production is Grits. Yes, he did look good with Nico and Timo, but Mercer looked really good there as well. And they're trying to use him as a winger. I can see the argument both sides for sure, but I just think it's really trying to make sure that that third line can still produce and still exploit the other team. And I think with Grits on that line, it gives us our best chance. Traveling Devil says, if Jack gives props to Palat, who am I to complain about him? Never again. You would imagine that would be sensible amongst many people, right? It's like, listen, don't take anyone else's word for it. Take Jack Hughes' word for it. If Jack is sitting there with a microphone in his face and he's saying all that stuff, maybe there's something to it. And so I'm completely with you, Traveling. Maybe some other people should kind of follow that train of thought. Rich, I'll be heading to the game tonight, cheering the boys on for 9 wins in a row. Let's go Devils. Very nice and very jealous. I saw the Devils play the Avalanche in Colorado it was probably 15 years ago. It was awesome. I love Colorado. Went to the Boulder Chop House. Was just living my best life in Colorado. And I think it was 2010-ish, maybe even earlier than that. I had a lot of fun there. Frank says, Natchez sure to plan a mission after his brutal giveaway led to Jack's OT game winner. Yeah, we also saw another Academy Award-winning performance out of him. I mean, wow. He could change teams, but the hatred still follows him. Obviously, I hated Natchez when he was a member of the Hurricanes, and I still hate him, as all of you do. It is what it is. Stickfix says, I bet Markstrom was also eager to get back into it. He's a competitive guy. I mean, we've seen him yell at refs, smash a stick, and even crash out after losing in poker to Lazar. Yeah, the ultimate competitor. I'd love to see that in my goaltender. Jacob Markstrom wants to win, wants to play. And let's see that let's hope that he returns to the guy who looked like he was going to be in the Vezina conversation last year. Andrew, did you see that Avs had to post a clip of them beating us in the Stanley Cup over the 9th game of the season? I did see that. And in the end, it's a mic drop. I mean, there's nothing. When I saw it, a lot of people got mad. It is kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, using something that old. But, that is the ultimate checkmate, That is the ultimate checkmate. They beat us in Game 7 of the Cup Finals in 2001. And those of us that were fans during that time will never get over it. That will be a forever just kind of lingering, sad, painful memory of Devils fandom is that 2001 final. Devils were up 3-2 in the series, Game 6 at Continental Airlines Arena with the chance to win the Cup. The Cup is in the building. Your boy was in the building. I'm sure some of you were. Devils lost that game. Avalanche forced the Game 7, and then they go to Colorado and lose Game 7, and that one just stings. Would have been back-to-back cups. I mean, wow. Completely just brutal. Krung says the only thing the NHL does well is silly commercials. Which ones are you referring to? The goalie coach is Dave Rogalski. David, Lammikko, 26 points in 159 games played in the NHL. Negative PS stats and I guess preseason stats in NHL. Good, but not star in Finland. Weak as 3C. At best, another Dowling. Prefer moving Cotter or Mercer as center. Straight in lineup selection. It doesn't seem like they're ever going to use Cotter at center again. I thought about that today in the car when I saw this, and to me, that cemented that Cotter probably wouldn't play center unless we had like even more crazy injuries. But I don't know. I really did. I understand your logic here, but I really did like Mercer. I really did like Mercer on the wing with Nico and Timo. I mean, and I believe, David, I think you're kind of a analytics, advanced stats guy. I'm pretty sure that all those numbers showed that they were like one of the best lines in the league, if I'm not mistaken. Nico, Timo, Mercer. Jason, it would be super impressive to sweep Colorado. They're a legit wagon. I mean, yeah, anytime you have two of the top 5 players in the league, you know, McKinnon and McCarr are both probably top 5 players in the league. You're going to be pretty damn good. And they have a bunch of other weapons as well. LJ says, I just love that this streak happened now. It sets a precedent for the season. And that is a very fair point, right? It's not like they're a mediocre team, then they went on the streak, and then everyone's going to kind of dismiss it or whatever. To come out of the gates, lose the first game in Carolina, have a bad taste in your mouth, and then rip off 8 in a row, it really is setting a pretty high bar, right? The precedent is excellence. We started off the season after game 1, an 8-game heater at a minimum, looking to make it 9 tonight, which would be a phenomenal thing. But yeah, I mean, this is what the team is capable of doing, and this is going to be the standard now. It is true. The gold standard was set early on. Traveling Devil, win or lose tonight, I'm going to be happy about where the Devils are at this point. It's going to be 9 in a row, though. Oof. Yeah, I mean, even 8-2, right? A start beyond our wildest dreams. And look no further than many people's predictions. When the schedule came out, all the people going, oh, the Devils are going to win 3 games in all of October and all the nonsense people were saying. And here we are, despite the injuries and adversity, this team is 8-game heater. And how could you not be ecstatic? Crumb says Timo overrated. Most NHL fans barely even know who Timo is. I guess this person, whoever said that earlier, was probably referring to Devils fans, I guess, that talk about him. But Beachmaster says Marky lets in an early one. I certainly hope not. Selected boy Timo is part of the reason why this Devils team is competitive. He certainly brings that sandpaper to the lineup in the top 6 that no one else does. You need guys like that to win, period. And he produces. I don't know, again, what the expectations were. I guess when he signed that deal, nearly $9 million, I think it's like 8.875 or whatever it is, in the old cap era was a little bit more than it is now. You have to realize now, in the new cap era, that is a pretty nice deal to have a guy like Timo Meier who could put up, 60 to 70 points and do all the other things that he does, smash people. I mean, in that Sharks game, was it the Sharks? All the games are blending together now. It's been quite a homestand. I think it was the Sharks game. Battering the defenseman physically around the ice, a massive man, and the crowd started chanting Timo. I mean, this guy's been doing it, guys. 3 goals, 5 assists, and he's not been getting his regular power play one time that we've talked about forever. Ryan Aman says, we all super pumped for tonight. Absolutely. The return of Jacob Markstrom, the reuniting of Dawson Mercer with Nico and Timo. We're going to see the debut of Lammikko at 3C. Is he going to keep it going with Gritz and Connor Brown? So many things to, keep an eye on during tonight. Seamus Casey, Snow Devil. Oh, wow. Didn't realize everyone's playing tonight. Didn't even know. Yeah, Frozen Frenzy. Antonio said, bro, activated Ace's Rage. Well, I don't know what that was in reference to. Jay Snow, Nico's line has been hard matched versus every top line. Yeah, Nico. Can't forget to give Nico his flowers. Locking down superstar players on the nightly basis. Just shutting down a who's who in the NHL. Hold on, just got to deal with something real quick. Pro Vote says Timo is awesome. Ryan Demand, Timo time tonight. I would love to see Timo get on the board tonight with just any type of goal. But I'd like to see him be on power play 1. I'd imagine we're probably going to see the same, or maybe they'll make an adjustment from the last game, but being that it is the same team, based on their little matchups thing that we've learned about this year, you would think that you would think the power play units would be the same. Michael, people just look at points and judge players on those stats alone. There's way more to the game. Oh, for sure. Brett says, "Do you ever feel that people watch others sports have been conditioned just to have numbskull takes?" I mean, that's human beings, guys. Welcome to mankind. I mean, this is anything. It's not just exclusive to sports. If you talk about any random topic with people, you'd be surprised what type of things come out of their mouths, and you're like, is there a disconnect from the brain, or where the brain should be in the mouth? Maybe there's been some sort of severing, but certainly seems maybe even more commonplace in sports for sure. I totally agree with you. Jersey Texan, interesting name. Timo had some bad luck last year. He's special this year. He did have a prolonged stretch where he was so snake bitten, getting chances left in there. He just couldn't buy one. Was robbed at every turn. Super unfortunate. I hope we never see a cold spell like that from him again. He was generating chances. They just weren't falling for a while. It really was wild. Jason said, "It's been reported everywhere at the Marky extension. Fitz wants him signed now." I understand what's being reported, Snow, but what I'm saying is we heard the same thing about Lukehughes, and it took a while, and that's with a real deadline of training camp. So, I think there could be a little gamesmanship involved. I can't see a world where Fitz is so eager to throw him a contract coming back off this injury, unless the injury really is nothing, as some people were speculating. Like, there were reports that were like, oh, it's a very minor injury. It's nothing really to worry about. But even that, I still would want to see a bigger body of work from him as well after, just everything from last season. But, if the number's right, what does he have to really lose? Mark says, "The true test of this team will how they respond when Jack goes down. They tend to wilt when he gets injured." Hopefully he doesn't get injured. What are you talking about? When he goes down, hopefully he doesn't. I want to see Jack play all 82 this year. It would be great. James, what's going on? The boys have to be ready tonight. After Sunday, the Avalanche are going to be out for blood. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Glenn says, "Timo is off to a better start this season, too, than last year. He should be on power play one." I'm a big Timo on power play one guy. I'll never be convinced, but, they mentioned they're studying the opponent's penalty kill and tailoring a power play unit based on that. And so, again, I've said this before. In theory, it sounds very cool and very kind of progressive, I guess. I don't know that I've ever heard of other teams doing that. And it's definitely interesting. But I still can't see a world where Timo's not one of your best options on power play one. But it is what it is. Listen, the power play's been doing pretty decent. And as of right now, let's see where we are. I haven't looked at this in a couple days. For the 25-26 season, Devils are currently in 6th. Yeah, these numbers are still so high because some teams started off with hot power plays and it's still so early in the season. But the Devils are in 6th right now with a 30.8% power play. I mean, I'll just put this up real quick. I mean, this is pretty wild. To have a power play at almost 31% and be 6th is insane. These teams aren't going to keep this up, but let me put this up because this is so. Again, with the doing the power play the way they've been doing it, with kind of changing it up based on the opponent, who are we to question? Just because, again, we live in a results-based world, and the results are there. Devils are 6th at 30.8% power play. I mean, how much better could you expect? So, while I want Timo on power play one also, and he was definitely on power play one for some of the goals, or on power play two even. He was on the ice for some of these goals that figure into this percentage. But when the overall power play is almost 31%, I'm just going to say keep doing it however you're doing it, folks, because 31% is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Ryan says, "Make some noise." Philip Kelly, hey, Ace and all, I'm off to bed, but I'm sending positive vibes. Let's go Devils. Good night to you, Philip. Hopefully, whenever you wake up, you see the results of a massive Devils win in Denver. Krungs, of course, a GM is going to say we want this done as fast as possible. It's just good PR. Yeah, that's why for me, I can't put too much into that either. Let's just see how it plays out. I'm not worrying about it one way or another. Select the boy. They need to continue to play smart with the puck and stay out of the box. Minimize penalties. Stay out of the box, even though our penalty kill is great. Man, I wanted that penalty kill streak to keep going too. It ended at 21. That's unfortunate. We got Ric Flair. Ric Flair quotes Ryan says the Ric Flair Devils thing is awesome. Guess you're liking that Ric Flair promo video they play at the arena. David, top 3 ways to troll Ace. Explain to me for the 100th time why Timo is good. What do you think about this trade that has no chance of happening? This offensive D should be forward. I mean, I think you're onto something there, David. All of those things are kind of annoying. The Timo stuff I've realized is never going to stop unless the guy gets 50 goals and 40 assists for 90 points. Then all these people would be quiet, which is just a ridiculous kind of hurdle to clear. And yeah, the trade stuff is obviously always crazy. That's another thing, a very commonplace in all of sports and all of teams. And converting an offensive D to forward is just, come on. Yeah, I heard that number too, Jay Snow, $5 million a year for Marky. And on the surface, it sounds a little high, but again, this is a new cap era. And so really with the cap going where it's going, that $5 million is probably more like, $3.7 million in the old world, the quote unquote old cap era. And so I think once you start looking at it like that, it'd be a little easier to stomach because the numbers are still going to shock people because everything's going up. Jason Chicklets gave the Devils 0 love because of Pasha. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, they're all friends and they have their little rivalries. And so that's kind of why the Devils may seem to not get favorable light shown upon them because of Pasha and they like to break his chops. Gritzuk will be, yeah, I saw that. Ryan, it's no secret. I'm super pumped for tonight. I think we all are. Where is James C? Hoping for a good outing from Casey tonight and like the new studio setup. Let's go Devils. Oh, what's up, James? You must have been gone for a while, my man. This has been built for at least a few weeks now. I think at least 3 weeks, maybe even a month. Tasha, Glass on IR. Yikes. I agree. Ridiculous if you're complaining right now. I'm dreading the feeling of a loss too, but my one complaint is the injuries. Pesce out for a month. Big yikes. And Lammikko 3C. Yeah. Yeah. Jason says Thanksgiving's like the supposed marker. Obviously, yeah. The Thanksgiving holiday is kind of the first checkpoint that many fans, GMs, media, whatever you want to call it. It's kind of the first. Where is, whatever team you're looking at Thanksgiving. By then we have would have played every team a nice chunk of games and a decent body of work to kind of assess where teams' holes are, what their needs may be, and where they can improve. And we're going to see. It's about a month away, and I'm thinking this Devils team is still going to look very good 1 month from now on the Thanksgiving holiday, and we shall see. Thanksgiving, a holiday many of us enjoy, obviously. I enjoy the turkey and all the fixins and all the sides and look forward to that every year. And hopefully this New Jersey Devils club is still at the top of the league standings for Thanksgiving. Philip, thank you for the super. It's 11 p.m. my time. I guarantee I'll wake up at 3 a.m. to check phone for score. It's a ritual now. Devils screw up my sleep schedule. Cheeky Cotter goal. Thank you for the super, Philip. Hopefully you wake up at that time and see the Devils with a massive lead. So you're talking about in 4 hours from now, the game will be probably in the third period. And hopefully they have a big lead and the Devils win this one. But I would love to see a Cotter goal. But thank you very much, Philip. Really appreciate it. Cotter's had so many chances. He feels a little unlucky right now. He finally got that one to go from the other night. But he had that glorious chance when he was playing with Jack and Bratter against the Leafs. He had another really good chance against the Avs in the first period the other day. Hopefully he starts burying him because he is getting chances. He's getting chances. They're just not going. Some really good saves have been made against Paul Cotter, and I'd love for the floodgates to open for him. All right, now I'm surfing through the comments here. Yeah, someone mentioned this before. After we beat them Sunday, they had to go back to the 0-1 finals. Jay Snow in 22-23 after that 13-game win streak, the Devils are really up and down, but they had banked a ton of points. I understand everyone's going to look at that. I have so much more confidence in this team and I'm not just saying this, than that 22-23 team because, like I said, they were in some crazy shootout-type games, pond hockey, high-scoring affairs. Let me just pull something up. I do think this is a much more defensively responsible team that is not going to fall prey to some of the drop-offs that we saw that season. Let me see. Yeah, like 4-3 losses, 6-4, 4-3, 5-4 loss. Yeah, some high-scoring affairs. A 6-4 loss, 5-2. Yeah, they just got to keep the goals against down, obviously. And the favorable results should be there. This team is way better defensively and in net than that team was, I do believe. And I think the numbers will reflect that at the end of the season. Tosh, I'd have thought Glendening over Lammikko because he hadn't played in like a month. Well, they're both in. Glendening is playing 4C. Lammikko is playing 3C. Ryan, I think we already had our biggest test when we beat the back-to-back Stanley Cup champs, Florida Panthers. I'm going to say this is a bigger test, Ryan, just because the Avalanche are going to be super motivated because we just beat them the other day. But even more so, why I consider this a bigger test is because it's obviously on the road. You know, home ice, and even in a regular season game, is way easier to win than on the road. And this is a road game in Colorado after beating them the other night. And so now we're trying to beat a team with a chip on their shoulder for the second time in a row. I think this is and obviously given who the team is and who they have on their team, this is the biggest test of the season thus far. Crunk says that Tasha will be like ripping off a Band-Aid. After it happens, the boys will bounce back and start racking up wins again. You hope so. Brett says on centers, it's nice that they've decided Mercer is only a fill-in center. The kid is more comfortable on the wing, it seems. Yeah, I talked about that a couple minutes ago. Only when absolutely necessary. It does seem like they're trying to utilize him as a winger, and on that second line, I really like it. They looked phenomenal together. Craig, Kia or Ace, how do you feel about Marky getting the start? He hasn't played in weeks. Do you think Jake would be better? We talked about this before too, so some of you kind of joining at different points here. But I would have personally started Allen just because he's super hot, and would have started Marky against San Jose. But you know, that's just the coaching staff has better insight. I'm sure Marky was trying to get back in there as soon as possible, and for whatever reason they decided to start him. Hopefully he has a great game, and presumably Jake has a great game in the next one in San Jose, and we win both games. Army says Casey went up to speed, so should replace Luke on the power play. I don't know how likely that is to happen, but like I said, it's hard to say anything remotely questioning the power play, given that they're 31% right now, which is absolutely stunning as a percentage for the season. But I would like to see Casey get a sniff at some point. I do think he is lethal on the power play. I do think he's capable of running a nice power play. And with that shot and the way he could pass and kind of freeze guys and command attention, I think he would be worth giving a look on the power play at some point for sure. David says, if we win tonight, we have a shot at the franchise record streak. San Jose's weak, LA diminished, Anaheim still weak on blue line. Went out this road trip, go to tie record at home versus Montreal. Oh, man, I talked about this last live, I think. If they somehow sweep the West Coast trip, these 4 games, it would be insane. And then, as David just points out, we'd be on a 12-game heater, returning home to play the Canadiens with the chance to tie the franchise record on home ice. This is just getting so ridiculously ahead of ourselves. But because David said it, I mean, I'll fantasize. With the chance to tie the franchise record at 13 on November 6th against the Canadiens, and then it would and then in this beautiful hypothetical where we win the next 5 games. I mean, this is crazy, right? With the chance to break the record at the Rock against the Penguins on November 8th. I mean, that would be insane. Completely insane. Justin Smith says, I think it'll be Marky tonight, Allen next game, then Marky again, then Allen. I don't know if they're going to go every other, but with the travel, who knows? I mean, the way goalies are utilized now, nothing would surprise me, but every other seems a little... who knows? Maybe. Devil Heaven 77, what's up, Devils fans? Let's keep the train a-rolling. Jay Snow, to be fair, what's Jake going to say, Pally? What's Jack? No, but he believes the things he's saying, and it's true. Without Pally going to the net there, that goal does not happen. David Chimes, don't underestimate San Jose. They had a very good chance at winning the game we played against them already. Yeah, and we struggled with them for the past couple of years. That should be noticed enough for people to realize that there are no automatic or easy wins in this league. The parity is very good. Any team is capable of beating any other team on any given night. And especially when you see heroic performances from goaltenders, which we've seen our fair share of. Last year, when we got goalied, and it happened a lot. We made average and mediocre goaltenders look like superstars. That could happen any game. John says third line is good for Grits. Will have better matchups to exploit, and Mercer has a lot of experience playing against top players, both defensively and on the forecheck. Yeah, I really like him on that second line with Timo and Nico. They looked phenomenal. I wanted to see them back together at some point. Tooth says, shout out to all the Jersey boys and girls in Colorado. It seems like there's a good amount of them. And a lot of you will be attending the game. Shout out to all of you. I am very, very jealous. Tasha says, Natchez is just an Olympic diving form. I can't believe the rest haven't caught on to Natchez. Dude is a clown. Natchez better not flop again. Devil Heaven says, I was visiting Colorado 2 weeks after Game 7. Oh, my God. Of the 2001 finals, that is brutal. That is brutal. Tasha said, Timo's deal is A-OK in the new cap. Yeah, with the cap going up, it's a much better deal. I mean, every deal that was already signed becomes that much more of a value because the cap is going up a lot. And so as that happens, each guy that's already signed, their percentage of the cap is much less. And that's why when people, I think, are getting sticker shock at hearing the Markstrom $5 million and like, oh my God, Marky $5 million. But it's like $5 million of, $26, $27 is not equivalent to $5 million last year. Tasha said, if anything, I'm worried for tonight because no way I'm watching the full game. So waking up in the morning will be the most nerve-wracking thing. Devil Heaven, let's see what Lammikko and Seamus can do. Let's go. The depth is activated, Devil Heaven. There was no way around it. The depth is fully activated and on display tonight. And hopefully we see good games from Lammikko and Casey. And hopefully Marky looks like the Marky of old. The 5-star, thank you for the super. Grits is as advertised. We knew this guy was good. I would say I think he's far exceeded my expectations. I thought he was going to be good, but so many people were just so quick to start throwing around top 6, all these things. And I needed to see it in the NHL. I tried to just kind of wait and see because I've seen some of the video clips and all of that, but people were just so high on him before he ever played a single NHL game. I just couldn't allow myself to get there. I was hoping it was all going to happen, but I needed to see it in the NHL. And so far, I would have to say he's kind of exceeding expectations, at least for me. I do think he is a legitimate top 6 talent already. And I do also think that he should probably play on the third line like he is going to tonight to give us that balance, but he's definitely worthy of a second line role. You cannot take that away from him. He looks like the real deal. And we've that play the other night on that goal to keep the puck in the zone, dump the guy in the ground, then get up, drive the net, and then take a Timo pass off his skate to the stick and just snipe it. I mean, it was a beautiful sequence. It brings a tear to your eye. Tasha said, I generally would have just been happy with winning half the October games. I wouldn't have been, but it wouldn't have been the end of the world. I mean, given the schedule, a lot of people would have considered winning half of them a win. I wouldn't have. I would have wanted at least, 1 or 2 above 500. But given the schedule, 3 games on the road to start the season, then all the teams we had to play, very good teams. And to be 8-1 is ridiculous. So, Frank, I am going with the pronunciation from Amanda Stein, which is Lammikko. I thought it was Lammikko. I've heard a bunch of things. I mean, some of these names are hard. I always like to ask the guys directly, like, how do you say your name? How do you properly pronounce it? But I think it is Lammikko. What's going on, Unhinged Devs fan? Devil Heavens has been anxious to see what he brings. We're going to see in a couple short hours, or an hour and a half. A little over an hour and a half. Tasha said, I'm more excited to see how LaGreca pronounces Lammikko's name. Michael, I think Lammikko will be fine at 3C. Grits and Brown have shown to have solid chemistry. All he has to do is be average and be defensively responsible, and Brown Grits will take care of the rest. I hope so. That would be nice. I'm hoping that they do not skip a beat without Cody Glass. Another just one of the many injuries suffered by this Devils team during the season. For a team that has suffered so many over the past couple of years, but a lot of us expected this. It is what it is. John, hockey has always been held back by the fact that if you haven't played the game, you really can't understand how difficult it is and all the little things that you can't see just by watching the game. That's a fair point. But, I mean, I'm sure there's tons of people that really enjoy it that don't kind of look at it with the, I don't know, like that closely. Obviously, if you watched, and rewatched the entire sequence of Grits, chopping to keep the puck in the zone and then crushing the guy. And, in the end, I think even people that know nothing about it can appreciate just the last frame of it where he kicked the puck from his stick, or from his skate to a stick and sniped it. But yeah, the more you understand, the more you could appreciate the entire play, because it was just amazing to see. Amazing to see. Taj says, I think Pesce has a broken rib. That's my guess. Oh my God. I hope not. Oh my goodness, it should be 2 years, $5 million if he's healthy. Hopefully Fitz doesn't go and give him like an 8-year deal. No, definitely won't be 8. I think he wants 5 years though. I think that's the rumors, that he wants 5 years. Michael says, I do kind of like rotating power play 1 personnel. Has to be a task to try to practice 2 different penalty kills to prepare for who NJ puts in. Yeah, it's putting extra stress on that penalty kill unit as well to kind of keep them guessing. So from like a tactical thing, I like that too. I just hope we see Timo get some good time out there, whether it's on the first or second unit. Praying for a non-Wedgwood revenge game. He already got it last season, so leave us alone. Brandon, if we have a completely healthy team, figuring out payroll aside, we have enough to beat the Canes in the playoffs. I do think so. I really do. But it's going to require, the team tightening up in some areas and getting used to some other things. But no, I mean, I think the horses are there. Now it's just a matter of kind of dialing it in and figuring out the systems and how you're going to go about beating them. They caught us game 1, and luckily for them, we were still in the game late. Despite being outplayed, they were in the game late. So I do think we will eventually slay the beast. The 5-star Jack is the best player when healthy. Thank you for that. Super. Yeah, I mean, offensively speaking, right? When Jack is healthy, he is our most offensive, talented player. There's no doubt about it. You're seeing what he's been doing this past week or so. 3rd star, just tearing it up. He's already had is it two goal games and a 3-goal game? The hat trick. He had a hat trick, 2 goals, and I think he had 2. Maybe I'm wrong, but definitely a hat trick and 2 goals. Devil Heaven, how long will Marky and Jake the Snake play together on our Devils? Wow. I would imagine at least 2 more years after this. If I had to bet on it, I would say next year and the year after is the 2 of them. John, we still have Chalowski, I guess. At some point, Kovacevic will be back. All these injuries are increasing bench players' trade value, which will help us later in the season. Another interesting thing to keep an eye on that we've talked about is with all this defensive depth, you can't play everybody and you can't hold on to everybody forever. So at some point, is a defenseman moved out via trade for forward help? I mean, it would seem like a logical scenario, right? I like Marky, and I would like to extend him. I mean, some of the 5 years seems excessive, but I mean, if the number's right, I suppose it makes sense. But it does seem a little excessive. But in the end, Marky and Allen are win now goalies. I'm fine with him being extended. I personally would probably want to wait to see a little bit more of him playing this season. I understand why people are saying that. We haven't seen much, obviously, early in the season, and he got hurt. So, I don't think you're going to see anything right away. But who knows? It's been talked about. And as people pointed out before, Fitz said he wanted it done soon. But, to me, there's just certain statements you just kind of take with a grain of salt. Like, all right, well, what exactly does soon mean? Well, I don't know either. but I would like to see a little body of work before doing that. Shiver Me Timbers, hey Ace, I know the Devils are going to have to make a move after Kovacevic comes back, but if everyone's still rolling, why not just trade Kovacevic? I love his game, but that could fix the cap issue. He has trade protection. He's not going anywhere. From everyone that in the organization that has spoke about it, Kovacevic is a part of the defense for sure. And so some other people have mentioned that. Yeah, trade protection, and they view him as one of the main six. Someone else will be, either demoted or moved out before Kovacevic. Keeping up the Devils. Devils have won by 2+ goals in 6 of the 8 wins. You like to see that, right? They have seemed in such control in a lot of the games. Obviously, there was a couple that were closer than others, but there were some that we were like that Toronto game was dominant. Jay Snow, in 22-23, we were just running gun. Now we actually play with a more defensive structure. David says, I'm going to the San Jose game. Hopefully we'll be going for 10 in a row. That would be amazing. I want it so bad. I want them to sweep the trip, guys. I'm greedy. I want them to come back with a chance to tie it on home ice. Unhinged Devs fan says, I have a Ryan Clough jersey from back when I was in college, 2009, but not a Sharks fan. We'll be in a Scott Stevens jersey. It's always a good one. It's always a good one to wear. David says he'll be wearing his Dougie jersey. That's another nice one. Craig says it will be 2 p.m. on Wednesday afternoon in New Zealand when the game starts. I took a sick day. Let's go Devils. That's amazing. That is amazing. Mark, Ace's sweetener is that the Sharks won their first game in the last 17 against the Rags. Yeah, I'm glad. When that happened, I was like, good, get your win out of the way and don't try to break a streak against us. And they didn't. They broke the streak against the Rangers, and back-to-back wins were not in the cards for them. They're so accustomed to losing. It's like, just get accustomed to losing to the Devils. But they've given us problems the past couple of years. Devil Heaven says, let's go for 15 straight, just too short of the all-time record of 17 pens. I mean, what a run, right? Even 13 is crazy. Yeah, I'm far behind. I'm trying to catch up on the chat. Snow Devil, we have the chance tonight to beat the league win record after dropping the first game. Yeah, I don't like some of these obscure stats. It's like, the most goals scored on a Thursday when it was over 60 degrees Fahrenheit. It's still a cool achievement, but I mean, how deep are people going to dig for these things? It's like the most consecutive wins after losing the first game. Like, come on. But I did see that. I think the Islanders had it, someone said. Unhinged Devs fan, how are a few people dooming here at this point? Baffling. Hope Marky plays well in the team. Next man up style covers the injuries they have so far. Yeah. We've held down the fort despite all of the injuries that have been dealt to the Devils. And now we're going to see without Pesce and Glass for probably a month. Oh, my God. It's terrible. It's really terrible. We just can't have nice things. Can't have nice things. Steven says, grit shot is sick. You couldn't even see the puck until it hit the net on his first goal. It was so sweet. So sweet. Snow Devil, Kiefer this morning, talking about head coach Sheldon Keefe. The game we played the other night is not going to be good enough to win tonight. Going to have to, end of quote, going to have to be Timo time. Would love to see it. I want to see Timo start burying some more goals, hopefully all season long. Timo time started early this season. Gritsuk is a lot stronger on pucks than I thought. Tasha says Yegorov is not ready yet. No, he's not. And I think he could be ready maybe after next season, but he's definitely going to play, I think, in Boston at least, at BU for next year. And then maybe the following season he looks to make a push. But we're going to probably have, Allen signed for 4 more years after this. And let's see what the Marky deal is. I don't know that they're going to play out that entire, I don't think Allen's going to be here all 5 years, but maybe he's here for 3, maybe 4, depending on how he plays. Who knows, right? I can't tell the future. Five Star says, please don't call Kovacevic Covey. Tons of people do it. I personally don't like it. I can't do it. To me, there is only one Covey, and that is Ilya Kovalchuk. But, I guess more than one person have the same nickname, but it's definitely very weird for me too. Ryan Respect says the consecutive wins after a loss stat is fun because the last time the Isles did it, they won the cup. Not expecting that, but still fun. I mean, I would like to win the cup. I'm not expecting it per se, but I do think this team has a real chance. And if they play like this all season, they really do have a chance. This team, when they're on, and we haven't even seen a fully healthy team yet. The fully healthy version of this team would be fun to watch. We may never see it. It just seems like someone's always getting hurt, but I think this team is really going to be tough come playoff time. I really do. I know there's many of you that aren't going to believe it until you see it, and I get it. Seeing is believing, but it just feels very different to me, and I think a lot of you kind of agree. It does not look like last year's team, and I feel more secure and confident within games with this team than at any point in 22-23. I really do. That franchise record-setting team, 112 points in the regular season, beating the Rangers in a great 7-game series. This group gives me more confidence than that group ever did, for whatever reason, and primarily because of the sound defensive play. Goaltending has been very good. It feels more like, I hate to keep saying it, but it feels more like Glory Day Devils to me. Defensively responsible, good goaltending, and you're never out of the game. The Devils have come back at least 2 times from down 1-0. I don't think we've been down 2 goals yet on the season, if I'm not mistaken. I believe they've only been down 1-0 either 2 or 3 times. And they've found a way to come back and win. And on the flip side, in the last game, they unfortunately squandered a 2-goal lead. They were up 2-0. And gave it up. Avs tied it up at 2, and the Devils reclaimed the lead at 3-2. And then guess what? Then they gave that lead up. And then it was 3-3. And then the Devils won in overtime. So, finding different ways to win, overcoming adversity. Would love to see them win more games, by scoring first and building on leads and making other teams play from behind versus them having to play from behind. But we've seen both varieties this year. And as a result, they still only lost a single game, the first one of the season. Kyle Meggs, we're definitely going to need our goalies at our best without Pesce. Excited to see Marky back. We're going to need him tonight. Yeah, and hopefully Casey just comes in and looks awesome. That's all we could hope for. Devil Heaven Ace, great show, brother. Ace is killing it. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. David, Jack tied for number 1 in NHL goals scored. Yeah, hopefully he goes ahead of Pinto today. Oh, he's number 1 an hour ago. Now he's number 2. With the frozen frenzy, I guess, did Pinto score? Let's see. Ottawa's gonna need a lot of goals out of him with I mean, he's still number 1. Why is Scheifele listed as number 2? Scheifele's listed. Oh, they're tied for 1. Where do you see number 2? Maybe this didn't update? Did somebody get their 9th goal? Right now, Pinto, Jack, and Scheifele all have 8 on NHL.com anyway. I'm curious what the discrepancy could be. Agreed. I really hope so. Playoffs are a different beast. We all know that. David, Avs lead the NHL in D-zone giveaways. Got to beat them with forechecking. They are sick when they get up the ice. Yeah. That's interesting to me. They lead the NHL in D-zone giveaways, huh? Well, hopefully the Devils are able to exploit that tonight. The OG NJ Devils fan. I still think we need to add some grit down in the bottom 3rd or 4th line. It's imperative for a cup run. Listen, I'm the heavier, edgier, more violent guy. I will always want more grit injected in the lineup. I think like a gritty 3rd-line center could be an interesting play. But obviously, anytime you could get somebody, in that role, it's very good for playoff hockey. You need it to win. It's proven time and time again. M. Sharp, curious to see which lines the Avs put out tonight with last change and how we respond. They're probably going to try to get Nate Dogg away from Nico Hischier, I'm sure. They're going to be, trying to get Nate away from him as often as possible. The 5-star of this team is good. Devil having a lot different team this year starts with buying and playing for each other. Finally, Kiefer brings that camaraderie and respect. We lacked that for years. Yeah, I agree with that. It does seem like the culture has changed a lot, and a couple guys could really help that happen. Traveling Devil, we pretty much got everything we asked for this past offseason. I think a lot of people are going to still talk about the 3C and top 6 winger, but, I never thought it was realistic.
Michael, for grit and bottom six, we do have McEwen, who will be healthy by the end of the year, and LaChance we could call up, as well as Nason, who is still getting up to speed. Yeah, obviously you guys know how I feel about LaChance. I would love to see him get a crack at some point. And I really liked McEwen in his one game. He looked pretty good in that one game. I was excited. I thought he could be a serviceable fourth-line player for us. And in true New Jersey Devils fashion, he suffers an injury in the game and is gone for however long. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Injury curse lingers on. Need a top six with some jam. Now, I would love that, Snow. You know, a skilled, gritty winger to play with Jack and Bratter is, I mean, it was my number one want. If we're looking at a flip side of, I have to see how Lammikko goes. Originally, I always had wanted the top six winger for Jack and Brat. But if this, well, Glass is coming back, so I like Glass at 3C. He's done well so far. I want to see more, obviously. And then Glendening at 4C, I think, has been good. So I think that firmly cements me in the camp of get the top six winger over the 3C. But I can't argue with the 3C people. You're not wrong there either. I think that's just kind of a personal feeling or whatever. Both pieces would be nice. And I do think if this team is humming along come deadline time, something happens. I can't say what, but I think something does happen. Craig, speaking of Kobe, Gritzy makes me feel like the Devils have finally recovered from Kobe quitting. Gritzy even looked a bit like Kobe when he was on a screen a game or two ago. Let's go Devils. Those are some big shoes to fill, if we're being honest. Kovalchuk was a top, I don't know, at the time, probably top 10 offensive player in the league, I would say. 10-ish player. If Grits could, play anywhere near that level, that would be phenomenal. Kovalchuk was must-see TV. Richard says, en route to the arena, heavier edge or more violent. I'm pumped. Let's go Devils. Have fun, Richard. I'm super jealous. Hopefully the Devils treat you to a big win. Jay Snow, Colorado spends so much time in the ozone. Yeah, they pinned us deep. There was a couple shifts that were bad, but one of them was it felt like an eternity. It looked like a power play. They were just moving it around, and we were just chasing, and our guys looked dead. I think they even got a couple guys changed. We were pinned so deep, they were able to change some personnel, and that's how you know it's bad. When they start changing guys, you're like, damn. We're in trouble here. Jason, they cave teams in. That's where the Devils have to be on point. Yeah, it happened to the Devils last game. And with those guys, they're capable of doing it kind of regularly. Got to clean it up and get them out. Get them out. Can't be making sloppy plays in the D zone because they will make you pay. And we saw it last game. Ride and respect, Richard. I want to hear a woo on the broadcast. Snow Devil, no interference calls on Luke tonight. That would be nice. David, the skilled, gritty winger may well be Gritsuk. He's strong on the boards. No, I mean, I would already say that he is kind of a skilled, gritty winger, but I don't know that he's the guy I want to play with Jack and Bratter. I'm thinking of another piece. If he ends up there and performs well with them, that's great, right? But that's just filling a spot with a current guy. I think everyone wants to see the pieces we have now, which Grits already is a part of, plus the additional guy that fills that role as an extra. The 5-star, thank you for the super. How good is Connor Brown? Connor Brown is so good. So good. One of the best offseason additions for the New Jersey Devils, I would say, in years. And he's paying dividends immediately. I mean, what can you say? He's on pace for 50 some odd points. Let's see. He's got 5 goals and an assist, I believe. Yeah, 5 goals and assists, 6 points in 9 games. So you're talking about he's playing at a 0.666 repeating points per game average. He's on pace for, I'll just tell you now, I'll do it exactly. It's going to be 2/3, 54 points. 6 points, 9 games. If he plays all 82, he's on pace for 55 points. I mean, even 40-something points, which it seems like is nearly a given. I don't want to jinx anybody or anything, but it seems like, 40 is a super low, floor for him. That's more than anyone's done in the bottom 6 in eternity. And by eternity, I mean, I guess 22, 23. There's probably some guys that had some decent bottom 6 numbers, but not much since. The OG NG Devils fan 3C would desperately need to be able to win faceoffs because I think it's another key area that could haunt us. slightly concerning. Glendening was hovering at around 50%. Let's see where he is now. But being able to take some of the load off of Nico Hischier, even at 50%, is still a luxury we haven't had in a little bit, to be able to rely on someone. He's it hasn't updated. So he's at 49.6%. He's won 61 of 123 faceoffs, right at 50%. I mean, some help is better than nothing. Obviously, a faceoff specialist would be great, but yeah, oh my goodness, Alex Tuck. Everyone's been talking about him for a while. Glendenning's been great in the dot and on the PK, but basically invisible when it comes to scoring, which is fine for a fourth liner. Yeah, if the third line is scoring and the fourth line is not a liability, overall, that's a huge improvement over last year, for sure. Not most fourth lines aren't scoring tons of goals. There's obviously some that score more than others, but if they could go out there, give you good minutes, maybe smash the other team up a little bit, not give anything up, that's a win for a fourth line. Jason, Alex Tuck is my want too. Mr. White, what's going on? What's up, bro? Let's hope for a Markstrom miracle and Lammikko to look better than the Swiss League legend he is. Yeah, Markstrom. Big question mark heading into the game, obviously. We haven't seen a lot of him on the season. He was injured. Hopefully he comes in and he shows us he's got the goods at a high level. You guys know I like Marky. I'm rooting for him big time. I hope he comes in there and just shuts the Avs down. We're going to need a big performance out of him because they're going to be playing with that chip on their shoulder. We gave him a stinging loss the other day. Jason says keeping grits on our third line makes the team most dangerous when you need depth scoring in the playoffs. Yeah, you need it in the regular season too, but for sure in the playoffs. And I do think grits on the third line really gives you that balance that you need. The balance that we haven't had for so long. A key cog in the machine, Gritzy on the third line. I'm sure he's probably a little disappointed. I'm sure he really enjoyed, playing with Nico and Timo, two of the better players on the team, and going up against some of the big names on the other teams. But I'm sure he also understands that with him on the third line, he's going to get some pretty bad mismatches and be able to really, really put it on some people. Michael, it's crazy how many negative comments there were before the season. How about the team made no change? About how the team made no changes. We haven't had bottom six like this since maybe the 2012 Cup Finals team. Completely agree. It's because people, Michael, live in a world where if it's not a flashy big name, then it doesn't count to them. And that's okay. I mean, some of these people are very hard to please. And depth pieces are never going to excite them. I get it. Depth pieces typically aren't on the surface super exciting, but I did like the moves in the summer. I did say I do believe this makes our bottom six much better. And again, it almost had to because the bar was on the floor. I mean, the bottom six did nothing last year, so it'd be very hard not to be an improvement. But it's been not just an improvement, it's been a sizable improvement. And so you have to be happy with it. M. Sharp, our forecheck is relentless. Traveling Brown reminds me of a Panthers type player. I could see that. A gamer. He's got a little grit to him. Super effort, flying around. Imagine if this bottom six had Michael McLeod. I mean, if it had the Michael McLeod from that we saw most recently in 22-23, the sad reality, though, is I think that guy's long gone. I mean, that was years ago, guys. He didn't play for a while. I don't know that he'll ever be that good again. And I don't think he ever plays in the NHL again. That's a whole separate issue. But to just, to touch on that for a second, to rely on it, or to believe, I guess, a guy like that is going to be the same version we saw the last time we saw him, I think it was a little wishful thinking. I just don't know that any player can be out of the game for however long he was and then come back and look like the same guy. It's just very unlikely. And I would say that his KHL stint would kind of support that. But again, you never know too. There's guys who've done so-so in the KHL and then went on little nice streaks or whatever in the NHL. But another center who could win faceoffs would be a nice luxury for the Devils. All right, we're getting close to the end here because I got some things to do before the Devils pregame will come on at 8:30. Yeah, so I got some things to do before that. So I'll be on here for a couple minutes longer. I'm just going to run to the bathroom real quick, 2-minute break. Throw out your, whatever questions, comments, whatever you got. Throw it out here. I will start winding down when I come back, and I will prepare myself for the Devils pregame and obviously the Devils Avalanche game, in which we're looking to extend an 8-game heater to a 9. Throw out your kind of closing, whatever you people have. I'll be back in 2 minutes, and we'll start winding down. And we're back. And we are back.
Mr. White, Gritsuk was a top 6 guy I wanted, but our main issue is our 3C. Fitz needs to find a solution to that problem we've had for 3 years now. Having injury-prone centers, Hughes and Glass is playing with fire. Yeah, I do think at some point that the center is a necessity. I mean, we cannot sustain long periods of time where we have to play with Lammikko as 3C and Glendening as 4C. That's obviously not ideal. So I do agree. We do need a 3C or at least another center in the fold. I do think Glass could cut it as a permanent 3C. I mean, it's still too early. Going into the season, I would have liked him a lot as a 4C, but due to circumstance, he was playing 3C. I think with Grits and Connor Brown, he could potentially work out there, but I do think there needs to be another one in the fold, like you said, with the injuries. In case he goes down, we don't want to be in a spot where it's Lammikko and Glendening as 3 and 4C. That's obviously not ideal whatsoever and really should not be an option for any sort of long-term solution. Ryan Johnson, thank you, sir, for the super. Got nothing to say, but love the content. Keep on keeping on. Thank you very much, Ryan. Really appreciate that. I appreciate all your guys' support coming out for these things and watching the videos and all that. It's been a fun community. And obviously a stellar start to the season for our beloved New Jersey Devils, currently riding an 8-game heater. But thank you very much, Ryan. I really appreciate it. And hopefully I have some more exciting stuff, coming up. I'm trying to do a lot. And again, there's a lot of, things take time in massaging, but I'm working on a bunch of stuff. So I appreciate all of you guys. And like I said, it's been fun. The community that we've built here. Traveling Devil, my spaghetti is al dente. Time to eat. Let's go Devils. Oh, I would love to eat some pasta right now. Hockey season has been ruining me, guys. I've talked about this time and time again. In the summer, I'm able to reel it in a little bit better and eat healthy and do outdoorsy stuff and exercise. Once hockey season starts, it's bad because I'm typically busier. Obviously, the channel, there's more stuff going on. It gets darker sooner. It gets colder. I'm going to games. I'm going to the lounge. I'm eating all sorts of food. I'm eating desserts. I'm eating second servings of regular food. Then I'm eating dessert again. And I need to reel it in. The past week has been devastating. I'm afraid to get on my scale, actually. I have a biometric scale, and I'm frightened to step on it. I think I need to do a couple of days of intense workouts before I head back on it because the games and it's taking a toll. Not good. Seth, they should have gone with Allen. Don't throw Markstrom in net against the Avs. Well, hopefully Marky proves everyone who has this kind of thought process wrong and comes out with a master performance that results in a New Jersey Devils victory and a winning streak continuing to 9. That's all I could say for everyone with the reservations. Jason, I don't like the landing spot for Marky. San Jose would have been perfect, but what are you going to do? And I agree, Snow. Yeah, I mean, listen. The coaches get paid the big bucks, guys. Let's hope they're right. I mean, listen, for everything people – there's nothing to complain. Like, you really got to go out of your way to look for something to complain about. I understand this is not necessarily a complaint. I'm just saying for the people that are somewhat negative about anything, 31% the power play. I would love to see Timo out there on first unit every time as well. But you know what? The results are there, 31%. So I'm just going to say do what you got to do. Would like to see Timo get rewarded, obviously, but he'll get his cracks. He'll be out there. He'll get his chances. Anyone have anything else in the final closing here? What a team. 8-game heater looking for 9, guys. What a time. Last call, anyone? Oh, no. The game not on Hulu? I don't know. You guys know me. I feel the pain with some of this stuff as well. Finding the games. I'm lucky I live in the market and I could just put on MSG. That is wait, I didn't even look. Now let me just double check. I thought tonight was an MSG game. I don't know what that necessarily means for Hulu and stuff. Yeah, MSG SN2. MSG SN2. Living in New Jersey, just put it on the TV. Definitely a little bit easier than some of you have it. Max, love to see Merstog back where he belongs. I liked that line a lot, and I talked about it earlier, Max. I am happy to see Mercer back at wing with Timo and Nico. They looked pretty damn dominant while they were together. And while Grits also looked good there, I do think Grits is going to look good everywhere. And it's also, not the hardest place probably to play for guys
with Timo and Nico. And I think Mercer stepped up to the occasion, and hopefully they continue to look like they did before he went down to 3C. Steven says, let's go Devils. Seth, why change the lineup? Because Glass is hurt, and they want to put Mercer back where he was and plug Lammikko in, coming back off the IR. Ryan Johnson, what do you think about the Toronto Maple Leafs? I'm a huge Devils fan, but because I'm in the I guess, area, it's all I hear about. I think they're going to be decent. They're going to be a playoff team, and then how far they go in the playoffs is going to be up to them, like every other year with the Maple Leafs. I would love to see the Devils beat them in a playoff series. That'd be such a fun playoff series, and I'd definitely go to a game or two in Toronto. That'd be insane. Dire Wolf, 9-game heater incoming. Get the gate already. Oh, I hope so. I hope so, guys. I would love to see it. All right, but I got to get ready. I'll be back after the game. For those of you in New Jersey staying up late with your boy, get the coffee on, get whatever you need. It's probably going to be like, I don't know, 12:15-ish I'll probably set it for, but it might be a little earlier or later depending. As soon as that MSG post game goes off, I'm coming on. You guys already know. And I guess 12:15 is not that late. The Sharks game's later. That's at 10 o'clock, so that'll be like a 1:15, 1:30 live. But I hope to see some of you later. Should be a good one, and hopefully the winning streak is extended to 9 because we all need it. We all need it like the air we breathe. Our New Jersey Devils in action. It's going to be against the Avalanche in Denver. 9 o'clock start. It's Marky versus our old friend Wedgwood, who is dominating us in the past 4 games he's played. Hopefully the Devils find a way to win. Hopefully Casey looks good. Hopefully Lammikko looks good. Hopefully we just keep humming along and this New Jersey Devils wagon keeps on rolling to extend this thing to 9. But I'll be back after the game. Thank you all for coming out tonight and for all season or for however long you've been here. Appreciate all of you. It's been a fun journey. Hopefully this thing is just getting started because I got grand visions. Oh, I got grand visions for this thing. But that's it. Thank you all for watching. I love you all. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go Devils.